Welcome to Fab Talk with Trish M, prophet, pastor, teacher, CEO of Trish M Enterprises, author, wife, mother, and your podcast host. If you're ready for the word, the way, and the truth, then this podcast is for you. Get ready for another level in the things of God, motivation, inspiration, and empowerment that's going to catapult you to new dimensions. Hold on tight. It's time for Fab Talk with your girl, Trish M. Hello, hello, hello. How y'all doing out there at Podcast Land? I pray that you are having an amazing day, that God is just doing something phenomenal in your life. Not only that, but I pray that, we just came out of Thanksgiving holiday. I pray that it was absolutely amazing and that you got a chance to spend time with your amazing family, amazing friends. I mean, I'm super excited. It's your girl, Trish M. Y'all know what time it is, right? It's time for Fab Talk with your girl, Trish M. So do me a favor, share the broadcast, start a watch party, do all those things, tag your friends, your homies from around the way, your co-workers, your best friends, and let them know that your girl, Trish M, is live. And I am super excited, y'all, because we have an amazing podcast that we're going to be doing on today. I have a very special guest that I'm going to bring up. But before we do, I just want to get all these little church announcements out the way. Okay. All right. So let's see. What do we got? I got y'all. Listen, if y'all have not gotten in on the Circle of Fabulous Women retreat, that's the CFW retreat 2024. It is still on. Check it out. I got some dynamic women that we have a cabin mansion in Tennessee, y'all. It's like a 20 bedroom, something like that. It's going to be amazing. We got women from around the U.S. that's going to be joining us, and we still have some rooms left. So if you want to join us, this is the last month to get in on that payment plan. So make sure you check it out at cfwretreat.com. That's cfwretreat.com is on and popping in. I cannot wait. Okay. All right. So y'all know on today, I have been advertising or promoting that I have a very special guest that's going to be joining me. And it is that time to bring this dynamic woman of God up. I'm going to bring her in on the stage. Y'all help me welcome to the stage Dr. Gail James. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely, woman of God. I am just ecstatic that you're able to join us on today. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. Today's podcast is all about helping others deal with trauma, deal with anything that they're going through right now that they may not even connect with trauma from childhood or from some other experience that they've had in life. But before we get into that, please introduce yourself to my audience. Tell them a little bit about you, who you are, what you do, all of that stuff, because a lot of people might not know you that follow me. So let's give them a chance to see who you are.
I am Dr. Gail James. I am a mother, wife, pastor, number one best-selling author, two-time number one best-selling author,
Okay. Yeah.
and a CEO, entrepreneur. But my best title is Servant of God. That's it.
I love it. Servant of God. That's what we do. A lot of people think that because you have these titles and these fancy names that, it's about the title. But to me, when the more you get, the more titles you have, the more you have to serve. And it's all about serving the people of God. I love that you are a pastor. Where do you pastor at? Tell us a little bit about that.
D Nation Church in Jacksonville, Florida. So we have,
Jacksonville, Florida.
yes,
Okay.
yes. I am so sorry. I need to plug up my iPad. My laptop is going to die.
Okay, go ahead. All right. So that's
Oh,
awesome. We'll give you a second to do that. I'm super excited. Um, So, y'all, listen, this is going to be yummy because we're going to be talking about some really, really good stuff that's going to help change your mind, that's going to help you figure out your life, that's going to help catapult you into being the woman, the man of God that God has called you to be for such a time as this. In all our getting, the Bible tells us that it is important for us to get an understanding. And so, my prayer today is that through all of this, through us talking about trauma and dealing with trauma, that you'll get a better understanding of you so that you could be the best version of you that God has destined and called for you to be. And so, woman of God, Dr. James, my first question to you is, why are you so passionate about supporting survivors of childhood sexual abuse and domestic violence?
Well, I'd say number one, because I'm a survivor myself. I
Mhm.
was molested by three of my male siblings, and I reported when I was at the age of 10,
Wow.
and I reported it on a Monday. That Sunday, that a 21-year-old brother had molested me. And
Wow.
so it stirred things up a little bit in the house. And though he admitted and he was arrested and found guilty,
Wow.
um my mother didn't take it so well. And so I think it was necessary,
Mhm.
because had she given me a different response, I wouldn't be such an advocate as I am now. So
Wow.
her response was, he admitted right there in front of her, and she said, "I was a worthless, good for nothing dog, and I knew what I was doing, and I wanted it." I was 10, he was 20.
Oh my Lord. So there are a number of things that I'm hearing, in that moment, the response of your mother, that was a form of rejection
Yeah.
for you at 10 years of age. You said you were molested three times by three of your brothers, right? What
Yeah.
is that? How many siblings do you have? It sounds like the 21 and 10, that's a big age jump. How many
Oh,
siblings? You give us a little background of your siblings and your upbringing.
so I was born in the U.S. Virgin Islands. It was 12 of us for my mom, six boys and six girls. I am
Mhm.
child number 11.
Wow.
So I am almost a baby. So all of my siblings were much older. Matter of fact, it's so funny because I was speaking to someone today, and they're older than me. I'm 51. I think she's 54. And I
Mhm.
was like, that's why when y'all say your mom, I see your mom. I'm like, wow, she young, because my mom passed in 2007, and she was 72, but she
Oh,
had me
wow.
in her 40s, and she had the other
Wow.
one after me, like 3 years after. So we were the babies. But yeah. So I have brothers and sisters right now that are in their 70s.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's 12 of y'all. You're number 11. Three of the brothers in the family molested you. Where was dad? Was dad in the house as well, or did
I'm
something
glad you
happen there?
I'm glad you asked that question, because I want to give honor and homage ways to, you asked for a little bit of background, and I'll give you that. My dad and my mom is from the island of Dominica. It's an
Mhm.
island in the Caribbean. It's not US territory. And so my dad came over, and he had his visa, he had his papers, and my
Mhm.
mom was not. So
Okay.
he brought her and her 9 children from different fathers over. And then he had already had one daughter with her, which is my oldest sister, because they only got 3 kids together. So my
Okay.
dad has 18 children, only three with my mom, and my mom have 12, only three with my dad.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Wow.
I'm a
So
daddy's girl, though. I'm a daddy's girl. Daddy
you're
was in the
daddy's girl.
Daddy was in the house, and though it sounds strange, like he was in the house and why but Daddy was in the house. Daddy worked a lot, and
Mhm.
Daddy, honestly, transparently, was a cheater.
Yeah.
And so he was always gone. And so when he came home at night, It was dark. Stuff was already done because
Yeah.
it was always in the daytime when they were gone.
Mhm.
Mom was gone somewhere, dad was gone somewhere, because the boys lived in the downstairs and the girls lived in the upstairs. So they would travel their little butt up there, drag you downstairs, do what they want to do, and that was that. But the way my mother,
So did your other siblings know about what was going on with the brothers, like what they were doing to you?
I tend to think they know because I know another sibling that was. She just never said anything. I think which is why none of my siblings speak to me right now. I have 11
Oh,
siblings,
wow.
three that live maybe 20 minutes from me, and they
Wow.
don't speak to me. They said I told the family secret, and that was wrong. And I'm okay with that because the generational curse is not going to go on with me and my children and my
Mm,
grandchildren.
come on.
So I'm okay with that. I love them. I pray for them. I'll do anything for them, but I'm not going to stay in bondage.
Wow. This is so, you're hitting so many things. And this is just off the first question because in the Black family, in the Black homes, it's always, don't go telling our business. What happens in the house stays in the house. What happens in the family stays in the family. Don't go telling our business. Da 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 da. And it's like, it's so, that in itself is so traumatic because it closes your mouth. It allows you to, it what it does is, you don't have a way to manage the trauma. You don't have a way to get free from the trauma because you have to live in secrecy with no help because nobody wants to hear it. And if you do tell it, you're the guilty one. You caused it. You did it. It is so, so sad. And I do pray that more family, and it may not just be in the Black families, I don't know, I'm just speaking from experience of coming from a Black family, that I know that's a thing, and I've heard it from other generations, other families, that is a thing. Like, you don't tell people what's going on in the house. And so you told it, like, and to me that speaks volumes to bravery. At 10 years old, you spoke up and you told your mom. Now, when you told your mom about the one brother, the 21-year-old, did you at the same time tell her about the other two? How did that work?
Glad you asked that question. My mother died without knowing about the other two because of how she responded.
And so what that did was that broke trust between you
Hmm.
and your mom. You felt like you couldn't trust her
Yeah.
with secrets, with what you were going through.
Hmm.
Uh, and so that's okay. So there was an issue. Did you and your mom ever
Oh
have
yes,
a
I
relationship
gotta.
with her?
I got to see my father in heaven, baby. So I forgave her for an apology I never get. That'll bless your soul, baby. I forgave her and every brother for an apology I'll never get. Blessings be to y'all. Do whatever.
Whatever
And
you want to do.
truth be told, my mom died after having 6 strokes, and I flew to the Virgin Islands every week, round trip,
Mm,
to take care of my
wow.
mom. I
Wow.
remember one day my daddy stood looking at me, and they were divorced by then. But he
Hmm.
just would come. He know I'm coming every week. I'm gonna get a rental car. I'm gonna go get my mom. I'm gonna take her out the house, take her where she
Wow.
got to do. And I remember him looking at me, and he stood there with water in his eyes, and he said, "God is going to bless you, Gail.
Bless
Gail,
you.
God is going to bless you. The way you're taking care of your mother." He said, "Your mother don't leave the house until you come here."
Mm, mm,
And I
mm,
say, "Daddy, whatever she's done, she has
mm.
to take that up with God.
That's between her and
But
God.
I'm
Mm,
going to treat her the way God expects me to treat her." My
wow.
mother didn't have to worry about diapers, clothes, shoes, nothing. I was there every living week. I flew from Florida to the Virgin Islands. I flew with nurses from up here down
Mm.
there to help me take care of her. Yes, I did.
Wow. And that is biblical. Honor your father and mother so your days will be long. And I love that about you, that you were able to forgive. And matter of fact, that's a post that I posted on my page today. Be okay with the apology that you never got. And hashtag forgive anyway. because sometimes we will never, like your mom went to her grave, never ever gave you an apology for what she said to you at 10 years of age when you trusted her with the situation, that she would handle it as your protector, as your provider, as someone who's supposed to love and nourish you and treat you the, you know what I'm saying, just make sure you feel protected when you're around. You didn't get that, or you didn't feel that during that time. Instead, you got rejected and accused of things that weren't true. And so, I love that you told on the first brother. Did anybody else ever know about the other two, or was
Yes.
that something
When
you
I
kept?
when I started telling them, they said, "Oh no, that could have never happened." And then one of them, I confronted him, and
Mm,
he called my child because he kept calling me, and I wouldn't answer because I'm like, "Now you doing all this denying stuff." This was
mhm,
his exact. So my one of my oldest brothers is a pastor, and he
mhm.
was the one my mother called when I told. He said, my mother called him and said, "You need to come over here right now. Gail done started some mess."
Oh,
And so he was the one that made that brother own up to his stuff because he was denying it. And my brother was like, "She not even in her school uniform. She got on somebody else's clothes. Her clothes all messed up. She was at the school bleeding. What you talking about? You did something." And
wow.
so he finally admitted and told the truth. And so that brother had a meeting with me and another brother, and that brother bold faced denied it. Da 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 da. He called my son and he said, "I know you hearing the things your mama's saying, but if I did it, I don't remember because
Wow.
I tried to forget everything from my childhood." I'm like, boy, I'm over it.
Wow. That's a
So
coward's way out of saying, I don't want to face what I've done and the trauma that I've caused in my sister's life and my family's life. It's a cowardly way to just walk away from a situation that you caused. And so I know they're older now, a lot older. Are they still alive, or how's your relationship, the dynamic of your relationship with your brothers? Do y'all mingle, or you just still don't talk to any of them?
actually, all of them, the ones that molested me, all of them are alive. One that tried, I was much older, and that's why I say generational curses because all of them came over from Dominica. We were the only three born in the U.S. Virgin Islands, so this
Oh.
had to be something y'all do because when my last brother came over from Dominica, I remember being stranded one night and I needed a ride. This boy gave me a ride home, drove me to the beach, and I'm going through a relationship that's not working out. That's why I got stranded. And we pull up at the beach. I'm like, "You take me home. What this is for?" I'm grown now.
Yeah.
He's rubbing his hand on my leg, talking about, "I don't know what y'all looking for, cause what y'all looking for from these men, I could give it to you." I said, "Boy, if you don't drive me to my house, I'ma tell my daddy, and he gonna chop you up in little tiny pieces." And my daddy wasn't nothing to play with, and so
Oh,
we
let me
cranked.
ask you, like, you said they came over from the island, right?
Yeah,
Is incest like a big thing in the islands? Like, is
yes,
that
yes.
okay?
I
Okay.
will. It is so big, and what you said before is so real that what I have a nonprofit that directly helps childhood sexual abuse
Mhm.
and domestic violence. And our motto is no more family secrets.
Mm.
When I came up with my story, I had someone that went to high school with me, but we knew each other from like 7, 8 years old.
Uh-huh.
We live houses away from each other, going through the same thing and don't know it. It's my brothers, it's her dad.
Oh,
And when
wow.
I gave my story, it gave her an opportunity to reach out to me and say,
Mm.
"This is what's going on. This is what my mom asking me to do. And I really don't want to do it." I say, "You need it because you need to give forgiveness and you need closure. Go
Yeah.
ahead, go down there, do what you got to do. And I promise you, you'll feel much lighter." And she called me back and she said, "Thank you so much, Gail, because I tell you, I don't know how I kept this bottled in all these years." And what people don't understand is the abandonment the rejection, the
Mm.
guilt, and the shame that you put on someone when they're innocent and they didn't do anything to deserve this is gut wrenching. I try to take my life twice.
Oh wow. So this being molested at such a young age brought on the spirit of suicide on your life, suicidal ideation. What age were you when when you started feeling like I'm not, it's not worth me living, not worth me being here? What age were you?
Let me see, my mother broke my arm at 14.
Wow.
I had to move out and go on my own. Oh yeah, because she didn't. The Virgin Islands is different, so everybody know everybody. So though the detectives came in and they deemed that my brother was wrong, they gave her a week to clear everything
Wow.
up within the family and then turn him in. She didn't. A 15-passenger white van showed up to the house and told her, "Since you're gonna protect your adult child, we're gonna take your minor child. Gail, put your shoes on. You're going." I'm like, "Where? I'm 10. Where am I going?"
Wow.
And
Wow.
they said, "You got to go now." Well, the Virgin Islands don't have adequate place for someone like me. So they had to put me in a home for bad girls. I'm talking about I'm sleeping on a twin bed with a girl that's sneaking men through the window and having sex. We bumping elbows while she and the man having sex on the same bed with me on a twin bed. The same window the man came in, I went right out the window. But I'm 10. Where am I go? I'm on the other side of the island. Don't really know where I am. I hitchhike, catch ride, and I get back into town. Figure out, okay, I'm gonna go to the people I babysit for. I went to their house thinking it's a rescue place, and they was like, "No, we gonna get in trouble with the government. We gotta give you back." Government came, picked me back up, took me back to the home. I ran away again. Picked me back up. They was
Mm.
like, "We can't keep doing this, Gail. Either you gonna stay in this home or you gonna go back." I say, "I'll just go back home because I can't do this right here. I prefer to be in the madness at my house." And I went back home. And I went back because I felt like I went from the pot to the frying pan. So I went
Yeah.
back home and I stayed there. And I never forget my mom one night because I was working. I was working from young. Came home one night after work and she was just mad. She broke my arm. And my
Just
brother looked at her and said, "Mommy, something white is sticking out Gail's arm. I think Gail arm broke. Can I take her to the
oh,
hospital? Can I use your car?" She said, "If you move my car, it's gonna break you too." No problem.
oh my Lord. And
Waited till
so
everybody waited till everybody went to sleep. Packed some stuff in a little black garbage bag. There was an old black BMW on the top of the road, trunk don't close. Throw the clothes in there, walk to the hospital. Got there. "We can't touch you. You're a minor." "What?
wow.
My
Wow.
bone is sticking out." "Yeah, we can't touch you. You're a minor." Had to call somebody I knew because my mom was sell fruits and vegetables on the highway. So a lot of people knew us from just coming by the fruit stand and laughing, joking with us. I remember this dude, he was 19. So I called him. He came, signed me in, got the cast on my hand. But I thought he was my savior. He was my little, knight in shining armor. But I
Mhm.
didn't get with him until I was right at 16. But
Wow.
those years, he groomed me. He was
Mm.
taking care of me, doing anything. Groomed.
Mm.
Time he realized nobody's gonna come to my rescue. Now I'm in domestic violence. I'm getting kicked in
Wow.
the ribs with steel toe boots, hit in the back of the head with 9mm guns, you
Oh,
name it. And that day, one day he was kicking me in the living room, and I went in the bathroom, locked the door, and I was like, "God, I can't do this no more." I say, "I trust you. I love you. I've been baptized. I saved. I know you." I said, "But I'm gotta go. This is too much. I'm going from abuse to abuse to abuse." I took
wow.
a bottle of Tylenol, took all the Tylenol, and all I did was throw up. I didn't die. I
Wow.
looked under the bathroom sink and I saw a bottle of bleach. I said, "That'll do the trick." Took
Mm.
the bleach bottle up to my head and my throat was on fire.
Mm.
I didn't die.
Didn't die. God had another plan.
I'm like, "God, really?"
uh, wow. So that was around the age of 16 where you didn't feel the need to be around anymore. Everybody's
Hmm.
abusing you, everybody's molesting you, everybody's is like you really have had a very, very traumatic life. in all that you have gone through, and now you have built like a nonprofit organization where you're empowering other women and that have gone through what you've gone through to endure to overcome the trauma. Can you tell us, how do you approach building trust with the ones that you're trying to help, those survivors who have had severe trauma like yourself? It's like listening to your story. And then you said how your friend next door, after you told your story, or your friend, and eventually she told hers. It seems like it takes time for someone to open up and trust somebody to know their story, uh because in releasing that, it brings out guilt, it brings out shame, it brings out maybe even condemnation that they may have had for themselves. How do you reach the woman that has gone through something similar? And I will say your story is very, very, I've never heard of a woman being molested by three of her brothers, beaten by her mom to the bone coming out, beaten by another man with pistols. I mean, you've gone from trauma, from trauma, from, I've never heard a story so severe when it comes to trauma. And I'm not saying there's not any out there, but this is my first time hearing your story. So for you at 10 years old, bold, I'm going to tell it. But you got women that are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 plus that still ain't told it. How do you build trust and helping those women release what they have been holding inside for so many years?
So I would say number one is making sure they understand that it's a safe place to talk to me.
Yeah.
Because if you don't feel safe, everything I say is gonna go in one ear and out the other.
Mm.
Number two, I would say I remember in college, because I all of these experiences are what birthed my businesses. And when I went back to school to become a therapist, I remember they said, don't tell your story to anyone unless it's gonna help them. So if you're coming to me, and I a lot of them get to feel vulnerable with me because now I'm not looking like I got it all together. I'm
Mhm.
telling them I know where you come from because this is what I went through. And when they didn't accept my story, my mom, my 11 siblings, I'm an outcast to the family. Nobody talks to me. I mean, nobody talks to me
Yeah.
because they said I told the family secret. And so when I talk to them like that, they are now open to like, oh man,
Yeah.
yeah, well, and so that's where the trust is built. And then we can take it from there, that safe place, and making sure, I understand what you've been through because I've been there.
Yeah, so you have to always make sure they know that you're speaking from experience. You're speaking from a woman that has probably gone through way more worse things than they've actually gone through. And so
Yes.
just being able to be relatable is a big deal, because I always say this, my friend and I were talking one day, and she was like, well, I mean, I had a question, and this is just me. I'll just give this scenario. There was a woman that was teaching people on how to have healthy relationship when it comes to marriage, and she wasn't married. And I asked my friend, I said, "How can you take relationship advice from on marriage from someone that is not married and is pretty much just dating people?" And it's like, "Oh, well, she has history, she has a degree or some." I said, "But it's nothing like having the experience."
Yes.
It's nothing like having the experience,
Hmm.
so that I can trust the experience. I can trust your process, because if you're trying to teach me how to be something that you haven't experienced, it's hard for me to connect with you and relate to what you're saying. I'm not saying that you don't have wisdom, because anybody can read books and go to conferences and all this stuff when it comes to quote unquote marriage or relationships. but you have no experience, and so it's hard for me to connect with you. And so and so that's always been my thing. Like like if I'm going to connect, if I'm going to relate, we have to have an experience, something that you've experienced that you can share with me to make me better, because you've been there, done that, and wrote a book about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
And
that's
so
what I'm talking about.
having that experience is everything, even though it's unfortunate, but God turns what the enemy meant for evil, he turns around and make it good. Just like what you're doing now, how you're impacting lives, how you're building women up and strengthening them through the trauma, your nonprofit organization that you have. I love that. And I love that your mindset is to give back in the area where there was so much robbery of you, areas that you were robbed of. You're saying, no, you know what, I'm going to give back to those who got robbed as well, because I'm going to teach them how to overcome the robbery. And I love that. Can you share an experience where you helped the survivor cope with the aftermath of the trauma? I think you talked about it a little bit with your friend, that experience, how she was now able to share that her dad had molested her for so many years. Like the aftermath of that, what was like, if for her process right now, was she able to release everything? Was she able to forgive? Was she able to let go? Was she able to move on? I don't know if you stayed connected with her that long,
Yes, we
but
did. We
what was the
did.
process, the aftermath of you helping her?
So her dad had died, and her mother knew about the molestation but never reported it or anything.
Hmm.
And if you know about all of that, you're calling me to come home from where I live abroad to do the funeral and everything like
Mm.
nothing happened. So it was similar to mine. And so I said, you got to go. Not only do you need to go, it's imperative for you to go, not for them, but for you. You need to go and close the chapter of that. You didn't get, hers was a little different because I was able to look my mom in the face before she died and say, Mommy, it's okay for you to go. I love you and I forgive you. You will always be my mom. And if I
Mm.
can't thank you but for three things, those are enough. You didn't abort me, you didn't
Mhm.
give me up for adoption, and you introduced me to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's enough.
Mm.
That's
Wow,
enough.
that's good.
And
That's
so
so
she
good.
didn't have that, but she had the opportunity to go and watch the casket close. I know that's a closed chapter. And even though she didn't get to say, I forgive you before, forgive it and learn to start her healing process through therapy like art. So she does a lot of art, and her art is
Mm.
so good, she sells it.
Wow. Wow. So she did get, you were able to help her get some closure
Yes.
through the funeral and all of that stuff. That's good to know. And in what ways do you ensure self-care and prevent burnout when dealing with emotionally challenging cases, like your nonprofit and the organizations that you run? I'm sure you see all types of people that have gone through all types of things. How do you endure for you? Because carrying the weight of everybody hearing their stories, like me hearing your story, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's crazy. I feel heavy just listening to you and everything that you've endured. How do you get through a day filled with trauma, dealing with people's trauma, helping people with trauma, and when you get home, what do you have left? Because you pour out so much. How do you maintain self-care in the midst of all of that?
Well, I'm very busy. I'm very busy, but I do. I'm very very busy because I have the home health, the mental health, the group homes, and that's in the U.S. Virgin Islands and Florida. So I travel a lot.
Wow. Wow.
And so and then with the nonprofits, yes. But what I've learned is I know what secondary trauma is. So secondary trauma is when you start taking on the burdens of everybody else. So do I
Oh,
listen to the story? Yes, that is secondary trauma. And actually,
secondary trauma. Okay.
yes, so that's a course I trained for where you could way I train people in that way. You in the counseling field and all these other, like they start hearing the stories and you take it on yourself. So I know how to keep that from getting to me. Um,
Okay.
but not only that, what I do for myself is I definitely make sure I do 2 hour massages every week. I also, I also make sure like when I come home, I leave that
Right.
at the
Yeah.
door because now I have to be the wife. My kids are grown
Mm-hmm.
and they're part of my businesses. Because I'm creating a legacy, so they're
Amen.
part of the business. So, but I leave work at work, so I can when I come home, I can let my hair down and be myself. And I love to watch my little TV shows. I have my little, and I don't know why I'm into stuff like Snapped and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Those
Okay.
are my favorites. So, and I stay in the presence of the Lord, worship, worship. I'm a worshiper, and
Yes.
so I think with that, I leave all of that there because I understand that the only way I can be effective for them is I have to be at my best, which means I cannot be pouring from an empty cup. So I
Yeah.
always have to refill myself so that I can give to them.
That's so good. I love that, and I love the fact that you say you've been trained to know how to not let other people's issues and problems overwhelm you and consume you. And because a lot of people don't understand secondary trauma. Like I've never heard of secondary trauma. I've just heard of carrying the burdens and carrying everybody's weight and now you heavy and it's like a transference of spirit when from a day-to-day thing. And so you taking on the spirit of what you've been around all day and you bring it home and it's all of that. So that's so good to know. And I think we as women, we have to understand a way to do it. Even though we're not professionally trained, we have to set up guardrails, boundaries, limits as to what we allow ourselves to take in, because that can be so it can be, like you said, secondary trauma to us, that we're just overwhelmed, we're stressed out, we're going through so much, and we don't even understand why, without realizing that that spirit was transferred to us because we got that one friend or that
Yes,
family member,
yes,
every time they call, it's like, oh my Lord, here we go.
yes,
And so
just like that.
just being able to maintain that is very important. Um, how do you handle a situation where you talked about you got the group homes, you got all these, nonprofit things that you're doing. How do you handle a situation where a survivor might not be ready or willing to accept help or support, and they're traumatized, they've been, even though they've not come out and said it? Like, you could look at a little girl, I'm sure you could tell that spirit immediately on that little girl that, oh yeah, she's been through the same thing. I see that spirit on her. And so, how do you help someone that's in denial or just trying to keep the family secret or trying not to bring guilt and shame on nobody or whatever it is, and they don't come out and acknowledge the fact that, yes, I've been traumatized. Yes, I've been molested. Yes, I was raped. Yes, I endured domestic violence. You have those that survivors they shut down and they don't know how to communicate the trauma. How do you help somebody like that?
Typically, what I do is I literally keep open lines of communication. So there's no judgment. I understand that you're not ready, but I just check on you, make sure you're okay.
Mm.
Send you a text, ask
Mhm.
you how you're doing. That's it. Because now I'm building rapport. So I
Yeah.
know when you're ready, guess who you're gonna call.
Yeah.
And I remember I sat on a panel about 3 different times with the same set of doctors because having a PhD like me in therapy. And I remember when I gave an experience one time about I had 2 people almost killed themselves on Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
One was no, one was like Christmas Eve and one was the day before.
Mhm.
And I said, well, they had my phone number and they called me. And they was like, what? What? 911, what you getting people your phone number for? I said, let me tell you something. I say, I've learned that some people need to know that there is someone that cares about them. I say, you know what? I was thankful that a veteran knew that he could call me at 4 o'clock in the morning because he had a gun to his head, and I jumped up trying to. I went over there in my pajamas, but I got to
Mm,
his house, and guess what? He's still alive today. I had a young
praise
lady,
God.
HIV positive, Christmas Eve, run across 4 lanes of traffic. She want to die, and she's
Mm,
mad. The police got her over there on the side of the road. She calling me. I'm mad they didn't. Why they didn't run me over? I got that. I said, girl, let me tell you something. They didn't run
mm,
you over. They don't want to ruin their Christmas. But let's go get something to eat so we can unpack all of this stuff. And so for me, I tell people all the time, I'm different. I call myself the uncommon therapist because I'm
mhm.
different. Because if God assigned you to me, I'm gonna do my job. And my job
Yeah.
ain't gonna look like everybody else's job.
Mm,
And I'm okay with it. You don't
yeah.
have to give your number, but I'm gonna get mine. That's fine. I got two
Mm.
phones.
So I love it. It sounds like while building rapport because we got they know your story apparently.
Hmm.
So first question is about sharing I tell them my story, but these are the ones that know your story and still not ready to open up. So you say, okay, you know my story, you're still not ready to share, still not ready to open up and reveal truth. I'm gonna let you know that I'm here for you whenever you need me. So what you do is in the process of that, you build a rapport, and in building a rapport, you're now building trust. You're building a bridge for them to come across whenever they want to or feel that need to. And so that's opening the door for healing. That's opening the door for their breakthrough. And like right now, Dr. Gail, some people are going to hear this podcast and they're going to immediately know, wow, her situation is worse than mine. I got a similar situation, but they're still not going to reveal the truth. They're still not going to tell nobody, even though they hear the power in releasing, the power in the release of the healing that comes from that, the forgiveness, the all those things. They still and then some people think, well, I don't have to tell nobody, but I forgive. And then they figure out, and here's one of the things that I've noticed about a lot of women as a prophet. I can see a lot of things that they're going through. I can see it's come from trauma, and I can tell that it's there's bitterness that's built up from the trauma, the unforgiveness. But then they'll say, "No, I forgave them years ago for that." But no, 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 no. That's you have suppressed whatever it is to the point that it has tricked you into believing that you have forgiven and you haven't, because you haven't even revealed truth. The first step to forgiveness is you have to identify what it is that needs to be forgiven. You have to identify who it is. You have to identify what they did. You have to identify it. And that means you got to open up your mouth. You got to say something. And in saying something, something needs to be established. It was done. I was hurt. I was angry. I wanted to go off. I wanted to kill myself. The establishment comes after the acknowledgement. After the establishment of the emotions, I like to say, now that we've established the emotions, now we got to go through the process of the healing. A lot of times we can't go through that because we're not talking about it. We're not opening our mouths about it. So how can we ever be truly free and healed from it if we say, no, I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to forgive them. But then I can see clearly that there is, and that's why none of the relationships can prosper, because of some daddy issues or uncle issues or whatever the issues are, because you're still holding something against them. And now when a man comes up to try to be something for you because of the daddy issues, because of that, I still harbor in my heart. I don't know how to love them. I don't know how to accept them. And now I'm still acting like their daddy, but I know that they're this. And it's because of suppressed trauma. And we trick ourselves into believing, oh, I didn't forgave. I'm good. No, you're not.
No, they're not. I can give you. You said those things, and I got two things for you. I learned two things about not speaking. One, the enemy plays in secrets. I
Mm,
remember trying to speak And the enemy would say, they're going to know your little dirty secret. You better not go up there. Baby, I
Mm.
told it all. I said, what you got now, enemy? Because I'm going to open my mouth and proclaim the gospel of God. Come with it. The
Come
whole
on.
world know my story. I don't care what you say. I'm going up in the pulpit and I'm finna declare the works of the word of the Lord. And
No guilt. And here's the thing, no guilt, no shame, no condemnation, because you realize that it was not your fault.
when you talk about the on the forgiveness, I was that person. I would say, I forgive. Every time they call and say something crazy, my husband, I'm slamming doors, carrying on. I said,
Yeah.
this is
The
toxic. I said, this is toxic. This is
Mhm.
crazy. I'm going to have to really do this because this is a game I'm playing with myself. I'm
Yep.
tricking myself into believing I forgive. I never forgive. I went on ahead and I let it all out. Now it don't bother me. I forgive. I pray for them every living day, every sibling. I pray for
Mm,
them. I say, God, give them a spirit of unforgiveness. Let save them, deliver them, set them free,
mm.
restore
Well,
their peace, restore their joy. Me, when I say I forgive so much that when I opened my business in the U.S. Virgin Islands, the first person I hired was my sister that hadn't talked to me in 20 years.
wow. I
If
love
that ain't forgiveness, I don't know what is.
it.
I don't
Okay.
I don't have a problem because see, when you understand that unforgiveness is for you, not for them. I tell people all the time, forgiveness is for you, not for them. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and standing there expecting somebody else to drop dead. You
Yeah.
crazy.
You crazy.
You're
Yeah.
the one miserable because God exposed it to me. God said, while you right here miserable, they're living their best life. Right here going crazy. You need to get over that. But when he gave me what he gave me about my mama, I knew it wasn't because God, I was crying. God said,
Mm,
I'm gonna take you back so you can
mm.
understand. Remember when your mama used to take all 12 of y'all to your grandma in Dominica to see her every summer, every Christmas? She put each of y'all away, go kiss one specific grandchild, and then come back around to y'all. That's the black sheepism your mama dealing with. That she was a black sheep. Out of your grandma, all them children your grandma got, she was a black sheep. So she only doing what she was taught. Baby,
Yeah.
forgive her. She don't know no better.
You didn't
I
know
said, well,
any better.
what's it
Mhm.
with this sexual abuse that she blaming me? I was 10. He said, how much children your mama got? I said, 12. He said, from how much different baby daddies? I said, oh, about 7 or 8. He said, what happened when you was molested? Weren't you promiscuous? I said, oh shoot. He said, mm-hmm.
Hurt.
When your mother looks at you, she see who she wanted to be. She wanted to be able to be strong enough to tell her secret. She wasn't able to.
And
So
that's
when
what
she see you, she see
mhm.
who she wanted to be. So your mother was parenting you from a place of pain
Mm.
instead of a place of purpose. Forgive her and move on for an apology you'll never get. That was it for me. I was like, I forgive myself.
Oh, you better preach, woman of God. Let me tell you something, because a lot of times, and that's what I was about to say too, is your mother was molested. And because she was molested, she knew already what you were going through, but she also knew you weren't supposed to tell it, because guess what? That's what she did. She didn't tell it. And she went through her life, and now is manifesting in all the different men, is manifesting in all the different relationships, is manifesting in how she treats her children, is manifesting how she does everything. And so I don't know if she ever shared it, but it sounds like the curse has just been transferred, was just being transferred from one generation to the next. And chances are her mama was molested, which was your mom, your granny.
She got a lot of children too.
Mhm, mhm. And so the
So
cycle just was repeating itself,
until it
and
got to me,
yeah, and he brought you. Hey, listen, you said it's gonna get broke today, okay? Whatever day that was, that God said enough is enough. You said, okay, it's gonna get broken today. Okay, I love it. Just hearing your story, Dr. Gail, like we have been on here, it's been so amazing. But just hearing your story, molested by three brothers, beaten, rejected, abused by your mother, going from home to home, all of the brokenness that you endured in the relationships, being enduring domestic violence with guns. It's just your journey has been so like, whoa. Um, do you have a book or anything that
Yeah.
people can read your story, they can follow you? Tell us, how can people learn, go even deeper on hearing your story, whether it's a book or whether, YouTube or whatever it is you have. Just, I want to give you a minute to share.
I have my book out, From the Pit to the Palace, my
Mm.
journey from pain to purpose. And it is on Amazon, Barnes and Noble online, Walmart online. You can go ahead and get it there. It tells about my story and how I overcame. And you can get me on YouTube at Dr. Gail James. And doctor is not spelled out, it's DR and then GAILJAMES. Same thing for Instagram, same thing for Facebook, same thing for
Yeah.
LinkedIn, TikTok. And yeah, that's how my website is www.dr for doctor, Gail JAMES.com. And you can go there. I have a Trauma to Triumph coaching program, and I have a
Oh,
business coaching program, because what all of the trauma did was allow me, it was like God took everything that was meant for evil and turned it into my good. I have the mental health practices because I know what suicide and depression felt like. So I
mm,
wanted to be that to other people. So I have mental health practices in the US Virgin Islands and Florida. I have home health care agencies in the US Virgin Islands and Florida, because I got the empathy and compassion on caring for people who couldn't care for themselves, because my first abuser is the father of my first child, who was born
wow,
when I was only 6 months pregnant, 2 weeks before my high school graduation, and she was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. She was only 2 pounds at birth, and
wow.
they said she wouldn't live past one. She might still be in a wheelchair and still be in diapers, but she's
Thank you.
33 years old. And
Wow,
so I think everything, and the group homes are for developmentally disabled individuals like her. And so
wow.
all the things that was meant to break me, God turned it out to build me. And
Woo.
now I'm a multi, yeah. I'm in that center
Go
because
ahead and say it. No, no, no. Go ahead and say it, woman of God. Go ahead and say it.
I am a multi-millionaire.
Yes, you better decree it, declare it, let them know. Okay, listen, you are an
Because
inspiration.
all
You
the things, I
all
mean,
the
it's just
things.
amazing to me how the very things that were meant to break me is now making me money.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. I just absolutely love it. See, that's the perfect way. Like what the enemy meant for evil. God then turned it around for your good. And he didn't also turned it around in your bank account.
Baby,
Overflow in the name of
legacy.
Jesus.
Not only that, legacy. Like, I'm the CEO. My 27-year-old son is the CFO. My 25
Wow.
year old son, he's the administrator. And when people see us on the management meetings, they're like, "Oh, Dr. James, that's so good to see a black woman that got her
Mm,
kids." I said, "Baby, God, I am the visionary. But if I close my eyes tomorrow and my kids at McDonald's trying to get a job, I did something wrong. The vision don't die
okay.
with me. I might be the visionary, but the vision don't die with me."
It's gonna live. Okay. I love it. Listen, I love this gospel artist, rap artist, D1. Shout out to D1, y'all. Y'all follow him. But he said he's got this song called I Be in My Bag, but I be in my Bible too.
Baby,
You in your bag, but you in your Bible too.
you
Okay.
better
You in the
say it.
word, you represent kingdom. We need to see more of this in the kingdom. We need to hear your story. We need listen, your story is so powerful. I would love, love, love. I'm in Alabama. I'm in Birmingham, Alabama.
I'll be coming there in August of next year. I'm doing a big event. because I have a club named the Multi-Millionaire Mindset Club, and I'll be
Oh.
doing a big event in Huntsville, Alabama in
Oh
August.
my gosh, that's right up the road. We have got to stay connected, woman of God. I would love to come see what you got going on, to support, to be a part of the movement of what God is doing in you and through you. I love it when we prosper, being connected to prosperous people. That's what the kingdom is all about.
Yes.
Iron sharpening iron, building and upbuilding one another, empowering and strengthening one another through the trauma, through
Yes.
the hurt, through the pain. That if you can make it to where you are today, there is no excuse for anybody else that has gone through any form of trauma. And listen, we all got trauma. I don't think nobody got a perfect family out there or a
Mm-mm.
perfect life. We all got trauma. And so it's what you do with the trauma that counts. I love it. I love it. I love it. If you can leave anybody with anything, with all our listeners right now that's going to listen now or later, if you could leave them with anything to encourage or empower, strengthen them, or whatever, what would your last words be for them?
I want us to start living from a place of purpose and not of pain. We in
Mm,
the pulpit preaching and leading our flock from a place of pain instead of purpose, and bleeding on the flock, hurting the flock
mm,
that didn't do anything to us instead of getting healed. We
wow,
parenting from a place of pain instead of purpose, bleeding on our children and hurting
wow.
them because we choose to not get our healing. We do it in the business. In business, we're leading. So
Mm,
my thing for you today is, I don't care what you've been through, and I don't care what you're going through. God is faithful. And if He did it for me, He can do it
do
for
it
you.
for
If you
you.
just tap into your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ,
Mm,
relationship, I don't care about religion and I don't care about tradition. I care
mm,
about your relationship. If you get that
yes.
intimate relationship with your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, He will give you guidance, direction, and discernment to get your healing journey started so
Come
that
on.
you can be the best version of your authentic self
Yes.
and reach your maximum potential. And I'm
Uh,
here for it. I have trauma coaching. I have nonprofit that can give you free therapy. I'm here for it. If
wow.
you reach out to me, I promise you, I'll guide you in one way or another.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That's powerful, woman of God. Just hang on. We'll chat a little bit before you leave. Y'all listen, check her out at www.drgailjames.com. Follow her on every aspect of social media that you can. Grab her book. It's on Amazon. Grab it, read about her story, do whatever you got to do, and follow her so that wherever she's at, let's get connected. Let's build each other up, all for the kingdom, all for the glory of God. Y'all, that's our time. Thank y'all so much for joining us on Fab Talk with your girl, Trish M. We got another powerful segment coming up next week. I cannot wait to share. Well, until then, y'all be blessed, and I'll see you on next week. Bye for now. Thanks for tuning in to Fab Talk with Trish M. Do your girl a favor. Share this broadcast on all your social media platforms. Invite a friend to tune in. Help this podcast reach the nation. We all need Jesus, y'all. You sharing this broadcast helps me to reach the masses. If I'm blessing you, then bless your girl back. Share the broadcast. Give me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. I got work to do for the king, and I need your help. I appreciate you tuning in to this segment. I'm looking forward to rocking with you on the next episode of Fab Talk with your girl, Trish M.